Today on Wild Generation, we are comparing lever action 30-30s. It's a challenge, competition comparison thing.
Not much of a challenge, I mean.
Okay, mine has open sights, or iron sights, and Carl's has a scope for cheating.
Yeah, for being awesome.
What kind of gun you got?
This is a Marlin 30 AS.
And this is a Winchester 94, the classic.
The classic.
And I'm going to destroy Carl in all of the competitions that we do.
Obviously,
will
right?
be
Yeah.
Shooting the gun
So
and talking about why mine is better.
Total sadness. That's what's going to happen. Yep.
Yep. All right, stick around and find out. So while we're waiting for Carl to load up his gun,
It's awesome.
after I embarrass him at the range, we're going to go over a lot of what the differences are between this gun and my gun and why mine is obviously superior.
Yes, because no improvements have ever been made
It's
Since
only been
1890.
unimprovements.
since 1894.
There's something to be said for the classics, Carl.
That's true. Ooh, a little high.
The Zynga.
Same damn spot.
I'm obviously going to win.
So jealous. Ooh, that was a fly. Holy
That was
crap.
really high. Now it's my turn.
Woo! Your turn to embarrass yourself.
You're probably right.
Although, I do have to say, if any embarrassment is had, it's not your gun's fault.
Thanks, Carl.
You're welcome, Scott.
Did I hit the red?
Not a clue. I don't have my... I'll sit and...
Oh, golly, the suspense.
You did not.
Huh? Can't hear you.
You are about an inch high.
Inch high?
Maybe two.
Where's that one?
That one was a little to the right of the center line, and not that... That one was very low.
That one was low?
Yeah.
First I'm high, now I'm low?
Yeah, you're lower than you were high. I have no idea.
Alright, well, good talk. Let's go check them out.
Your first, I was gonna, before you shot that last one, the second to last one, I was gonna say your grouping is actually a lot better than mine right now.
Woo! I hope it still is.
Failure.
Alright. Let's go look at Carl's abject failure. Here we go. Carl, go stand over by yours. Tell us about how yours is clearly superior.
So, my rifle is sighted in for 100 yards. I'm shooting a little high. I tried to adjust, and this is where I'm at.
That's good, Carl. That's good. Ready? My rifle is not sighted for anything. It's just iron sights. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 that I shot a little high because it probably actually is sighted for 100 yards.
I was going to say, iron sights are still sighted in.
I know. I have to. And then Carl told me that I was shooting too high. So I did that to interrupt him while he was trying to sass me.
Yep.
So
Well, I was trying to give you good, important information.
I would say that yours is slightly better grouping than mine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, if you subtract your only flyaway,
Right.
your grouping is better than mine.
yeah. So now we're going to take it out to 100 yards and see how badly Carl should be embarrassed.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay,
that's
let's do that.
the lesson here.
That's the
not
lesson.
just I'm awesome.
So yeah, same as last time. You're on the right, I'm on the left.
All right. Not a clue.
Thought you said it was nice and easy to see that target.
Still nothing. I'm hoping I'm hitting it this week.
God, I'm hoping you're not. Oh man, that'd be amazing. If you hit nothing down there.
I think I hit something.
Probably the camera.
Camera is nice, a nice target. Oh yeah, mine are all flyaways. Holy crap. Alright.
Alright. Time to find out if my rifle is just sighted in for 100 yards, and that's why I was just a little bit off. Right?
Yeah.
That's going to be the reason. Here we go. 100-yard shot, iron sights, 30-30, with the camera right next to it.
Woo. I don't know if you hit the target.
I don't know if you hit the target, Carl. Just being distracted by this trash. Dude, I'm crushing this.
You are. You fired twice and it went boom.
I fired 3 times.
Bam.
Look how they come back and hit me in the face. Alright, last one.
Nice.
Alright.
On the plus side, we know you didn't hit the camera because it did not fall over
Or explode.
or explode.
Alright, let's go see how we did, Carl.
All right. How confident are you?
It's not that I think I did good, it's that I'm hoping you did bad enough.
So this one, I hit the target.
That's good.
I actually do have overlapping, which is really nice.
Yeah.
That's when I gave up trying to figure out where I'm actually hitting. So this one, I did try to adjust just to see if I was really off.
Whoa. You want to point to that one again?
This one right here.
Yeah.
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 You know what's interesting though?
What?
This spread is still tighter than this spread.
I would like to ask anyone here who got all of the bullets on the target to raise their hand. Nope.
This
That's
is part
not
of the
the target. That's the pink.
I'm sorry. This is part of the target right
Nope.
there.
That's off the target. You lose. I win. Iron sights are better than scopes, and that's what we learned today.
To manufactured victory.
So the first thing I want to say about this one is that it feels better in the hand than yours does, in my opinion. This is so much more trim than yours is, right? And so it just feels like it just sits, whereas yours is a little bit more bulky in the hand. And so that is, I will say, like when I picked up your rifle to shoot it, I immediately noticed that it just felt chunkier.
Yes.
And so like if that was something that was sitting in like a Western style saddlebag, right? Or it would have been a little bit more clunky to handle if it was really back at that time.
And that's a fair point. I agree that is a much thinner, much nicer grip, and this one is a lot chunkier.
So that is true. But like if we put these side by side next to each other, you'll notice that even the receiver, this receiver is much, much bigger than this one. Right?
No, well, it's a different design.
Right.
And that's, the receiver is much bigger specifically for the fact that this is a side gate ejecting.
Right.
As opposed to a top ejecting. And that was the design change for this specifically.
And I will say that is super important because the first time we ever took this out for deer hunting,
yes.
okay, I could not see my front sight because it was like right after dawn had happened. We were 30 minutes before sunrise. We saw a deer, and I tried to aim at that deer, and I could not see my front sight at all. As a matter of fact, if you look really closely at this front sight, I've put a white dot
painted
on it.
a white
I painted it with white out because I literally couldn't see the sight, and I've tried it since then, and I still can't see the sight in that low of light.
Yeah.
But I did try to get a mounted scope for it, and you can't because it's top ejected.
There are still ways to mount a scope, but it's just...
It's like to the side, and it's really
it gets
weird. I just didn't want to deal with it.
And you're going to have to punch holes in a beautiful way.
Yeah, I don't want to do anything.
Rather just, if you want one with a scope, get one that's side ejecting.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of like aesthetics and things like that,
oh yeah,
the rings, right?
Yep.
So mine have rings that go all the way over the top, or a ring that goes all the way over the top, and I really like that.
Yep.
I will say, if you ever try to take this apart, I hate rings. But yours clearly was made
yes.
for the more modern
So,
setup.
as Scott has now appropriately mentioned, the only other thing that is the difference between the A30 and
It's
the
not the only
336.
thing, because I'm going to bring up something else in a minute. But okay, go ahead.
The only other thing is that this band goes all the way around, is a double band around the gun. The stock and the band is literally the difference between these two guns. So,
but loading the gun, you have a feeding system on it that is different than my feeding system. Right?
Yes, I do. This is a different feeding system.
And I noticed that I hate both these feeding systems.
They're really bad.
Because you basically have to push your finger in like almost like half an inch past the end of the trap in order to get it in there. But yours has like an extra opening that allows for like a little bit easier feed system.
It does, yes.
And that's really nice.
Yeah,
I will say.
That was one of the improvements that they tried to make when they went to this kind of style for lever action guns.
Yeah.
They didn't succeed in everything because it's still frustrating as hell.
Yeah.
But I have to say it is a little bit nicer, although so similar. It's hard.
Yeah. It seems like they made it almost aesthetically look like it was going to work better than it actually did. And they're like, oh, well, that like people will think it's going to be easier to load now.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I mean, like maybe kind of like by like a millimeter or something. Like you can
kind of maybe if I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. One thing I do like about this versus yours is the trigger.
Yes.
So
that trigger is infinitely better.
It isn't, and to me, it's not about like the release. It's literally the feel. Like, so this has almost like an arch to the trigger. It almost feels like it's not though. It's very square, but like when you hook your finger around it, right? Which I'm not doing. But I'm touching it, but I'm not hooking my finger around it.
Also, the gate is
open. The gate is open. It doesn't matter. But like it feels like I know what a trigger feels like. I know where I am. This one just feels to like cut a little bit as you like hook around it.
We can take a very easy look at the difference between these two triggers, and you can immediately notice one, this trigger is nice and bulky and big. It does have actual curvatures to it, where this is more or less just a stick that's a small stick sticking out.
Yeah. And actually, that's a good point. This is a much shorter trigger.
It is. It's a much shorter trigger.
Yeah.
Out of the two of them, I would much rather have that because you're right. You get a nice solid feel. You get your actual finger on it.
Right.
And you're not feeling like you're pulling just a little tiny twig that might dig into your finger.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And the other thing that I like is, so on Carl's, you can see this giant hammer thing that's happening right now.
Oh yes, I love that.
I
awesome.
hate that.
I love it.
It's so bulky, and when you set up to shoot, to me it almost gets in the like I don't know.
For you it does get in the way
because I'm left-handed. Yeah. So this thing's like right here, whereas with go ahead.
Defensive Marlin on this. This part is an ambidextrous part.
Okay.
This can be switched to the other side.
Okay, all right.
This is an add-on that they put on specifically because I have a scope.
It's fair.
When the gate is closed and you want to release the hammer, you can gently raise it up, which is why you have that instead of trying to wedge your finger underneath the scope.
That's a fair point.
But I absolutely love this thing, and to the point where I'll just sit there and pull the trigger and let it hit my thumb and release it down constantly. I thought I was going to wear out the spring with how much I was doing that.
I could see that. Because it's fun to cock the thing and First of all, if you don't have a lever action, they're amazing.
Get a lever action.
You
need a lever action.
Yeah. It's awesome. Like you want to have a lever action. They're just fun to shoot and they're accurate, right? Like
easily, yeah.
And so that part of it both apply. Do you know why they went to a cylindrical bolt for this one?
Cheaper.
Really?
Cheaper to make, yeah.
That makes sense, actually. That makes a lot of sense. I do like the look of, because it just sort of looks very linear with the flat one.
Right.
But I totally understand that. That does make sense.
With the manufacturing capabilities of the time, 1894,
Yeah.
it was easier to cut a large, since you're opening up the top anyway,
Right.
why make this cylindrical and have the top be cylindrical?
Right.
So it just make a solid bolt.
Yeah.
Since we're not opening up the top on this one, it was cheaper and easier to make it a cylinder.
That makes sense.
Just like your standard bolt action that you see today.
Yeah. And I do notice now, and I didn't even notice this before, but you have a copper bead.
I do. I was going to point that out. I bought this thing with the scope on it. So this was... I didn't put the scope on. I have a lot of fun with the scope. I'm never going to take it off because why?
Right.
It's not the best scope in the world, but it does the job.
I was actually surprised how easy it was to like this.
Yeah.
This is not a high-end scope.
No, it's not.
It's a very like mid-range. Like it's Tasco. It's like it's a good enough scope.
Yeah. Tasco's
30-30.
Tasco's not a
like
terrible
you don't
brand.
need to
It's
shoot it. You're not shooting this like 500 yards. So
no,
like
yeah.
it
30 like maximum 150 yards is especially in
on
New
a deer.
England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a great New England gun for that purpose. Is like
Absolutely.
I don't like there are fields in New England. They do get big.
Oh yeah.
But most of the time you're shooting between like oak trees and pines and
right.
like you're not seeing very far. So
yeah, if you're taking this out to the plains of like Idaho or Texas, then
it's not
maybe not the right gun for you.
Although they did get used a lot out there in the past.
Absolutely.
So, you know.
They got used everywhere. There's a reason that this gun was so popular for so long.
Right.
And still is today. It's just I guess more of a niche and nostalgia.
Although I did read in an article one time that statistically they believe, and I don't know how they found this information, that the 30-30 has still killed more deer than any other ammo that's ever been made.
I know the article you're talking about. I did read the same thing.
Yeah.
One of the reasons they think that is because this was the most produced gun of that time.
Yeah.
And the most used gun for hunting of that time.
Yeah. And I mean, I see why.
Right?
Like, we have plenty of other deer guns, but these are, like, you take it in the field and eat, like, even if you got a jam in this thing, right? Like, it's so easy to see what is happening, to deal with it, the mechanics of it. Like, I thought the first time I took this apart, it would be more complicated than it was. I was shocked at the fact that even with all these moving parts, it's not terribly hard to take apart, to put back together, or to clean, because look, it's like you can go here and you can go here. Like, you don't need to take it apart to clean the gun.
The other amazing thing with it's amazing how simple it is, like you pointed out. The other part is that in that same article, believe it or not, it also referenced the fact that the 30-30, the lever action specifically, was the fastest bolt single shot style.
Yeah.
That you could do.
Yeah.
Versus pump action versus bolt action.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen me with a pump action? Pretty fast. pretty fast. With
nope, never seen you with a pump action, Scott.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
But this thing is like Larry Benoit swears by his pump action, but and if you don't know who Larry Benoit is, you should look him up. He's like a great deer hunter. Yeah. How to Bag the Biggest Buck of Your Life is a great book. But this style this was actually the first like 30 caliber rifle I ever shot.
Oh, really?
This rifle specifically, because it was my father's rifle, and I don't know. There's just something you can feel the connection between your shoulder and the rifle and the target, and it's really, really solid.
It is. That was also the first 30-30 I ever shot. Was that one?
Yes, it was.
And I have to say that was also at a time where I didn't know much about shooting.
Yep. It was also the time I didn't know much about shooting.
As a caution to the new users out there of firearms, these are not forgiving for new users. They will hurt if you do not hold them properly.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I took my wife out shooting, and all we shot was 30 caliber guns.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that's not true. We shot my 6.5.
Okay.
But she said of all the guns that she shot, this was her least favorite.
Right, because it just hurt.
Well, because she just like all the other ones they have kinder stocks. They have just I think that it was more about how solid the gun was than anything else. I love the connection that I feel like in terms of, as I said, the connection between the target and the gun and the shoulder. But that's probably with experience, because it doesn't have, like 30-30s don't have bad recoils, but it was more the auditory. She said she got a ringing in her ear from shooting this versus shooting my 30-aught, which I was shocked about.
Actually, I can explain that a little bit, because I felt the same way the first time I shot this one.
Okay.
I thought it was a massively louder gun than my 30-aught. Mostly, and I realized for the same reason, I think my 22 pistol is louder than my 22 rifle. This is, these barrels are designed to be that much shorter.
They are.
And because of that, the sound is that much closer. And as we know, sound is logarithmic. So it gets a lot louder, a lot faster. So even the tiniest little differences, in this case 2 or 3 inches, makes it massively louder. That with a really solid gun, you get the visceral impact a little bit sturdier. You get the noise a little bit louder. It's just it's an all-around if you're not prepared for it, especially after shooting something massively more forgiving like your Creedmoor.
Right. But this was the first one. I was like, we'll start with something light. It's just a 30-30. And she's like, yeah, I don't know if I like that. And then she shot the 30-aught next and was like, oh, that's way better. I'm like, what?
Right?
What are you talking about? But the reason that it's shorter is because it's supposed to be in a saddlebag.
Yes.
Right? Or a
Absolutely.
saddle holster, right? And you take it out, you come up, you cock, and you fire, right?
Exactly.
And so you need it to be short enough for, it's a brush gun, basically.
Exactly. And it does that job amazingly well.
Yeah.
And it does long range pretty well.
And for its time, the amount of ammo that it holds, right, in the magazine. Like you think about, you're going from single shots to 7 with 1 in the chamber. That's
insane.
Massive difference, right?
Insane.
Yeah.
If you don't own one and you're interested in them, they are a little bit pricey. Not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so roughly between, you can get a brand new Marlin, A30. For around $700.
I was going to guess twice that.
Right? That's what I was talking about.
All right.
And this is not an infomercial.
We have no sponsors.
We have zero sponsors.
Zero sponsors involved in this.
That is just actual shock.
Yeah.
Even though it kind of sounded a little fake, but it wasn't.
No,
I can guarantee
I'm shocked.
It was not.
This is probably closer to 1,500, isn't it?
Yeah, that's probably going to be 1,500, but that's also, it's the older vintage.
Right.
It's the older style. You can get a replica for around $1,000.
Okay. So I do want to go back for a second.
Yeah, please. Yes.
I do notice that you don't have the bullhorn front sight.
No, I don't.
And I hated the bullhorn front sight when I first started shooting this.
Right.
And now I love it.
It's as soon as you get used to it.
Right.
Right.
And the number one thing I didn't like about it is it was hard to judge exactly where to put the front sight in the crease.
Right.
Right. But once you got the feel for it, it lines up so quickly.
Yes.
That, and now I understand, like, if I'm riding a horse or something and it's moving around, and I got to get that thing in there and I can see more of the front sight through the rear sight, why you would want that, right? And so I will say, for anybody out there, if this was 5 years ago, I would have trashed that rear sight.
In a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat. But now, like, not only the cool history and the vintage, but I understand the reason behind it and how to use it.
Oh, yeah.
And it is amazing. And that's why I shot better than you.
No, it's not. But
you saw the video, and it's okay.
He also edits it. I just want to point that out. He
does not. No input.
He does not allow me to edit it or even view what he's editing. Just trying to be clear. This will never make it on YouTube.
Oh, I'll put it on the YouTubes.
Feature improvements that I don't necessarily hate or I don't know, I'm indifferent to is the fact that this has a safety and this does not.
Okay. I was actually literally just going to talk about that as
yeah.
well. But this does have a safety. Sort of.
Oh, it has a half cock safety.
So, no. Ready? So, I'm going to close this. And so, I'm going to hold the hammer here.
Yeah.
But basically, if you do not pull up on the guard, it cannot release.
Oh.
Right?
Yes.
So, once you pull up on the guard, it releases.
Yes.
However, if you don't, right?
Yeah.
And so that is supposed to be the safety for the gun in a way. And I have, like, when I first started using this gun, it took me a while to get used to that. Because I'd squeeze and squeeze and nothing's happening, right? But then once you get used to it, it does work. However, it's not a true safety.
No, but that mechanism does exist on this one as well.
Oh, you have to pull it. Oh,
this trigger will not pull unless you can actually see it on
I do
this.
see it, yeah. So it has a dual
you can see it on this too.
Yep.
Yeah. It has a dual safety, but this one has an actual hammer safety.
Yeah. I appreciate the fact that the line of lever actions has progressed.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And that we now have something that we can put a scope on, and we have something that you can have a terrible trigger for.
Right.
But we are moving forward while keeping the things that we value and adding new things to it.
Yeah.
I
absolutely.
also really appreciate the vintage model as it is.
Yes.
So thank you for watching this episode of Wild Generation, and stick around because we got more gun stuff and we got some more outdoor stuff. And if you've never shot a lever action, you should totally go do that.
You should 100% go do that. It's a lot of fun.
It cannot be understated.
Exactly.
Till next time.
Till next time.